Yo, what's going on, guys? SpaceKong here. So, yeah, I'm a little bit ill still, so sorry I sound like shit. In this video, I'm going to be showing you the new armor sets for the Morrowind patch. Well, I say show you, I can't actually show you the armor in the game because then that will go against the whole non-disclosure agreement. But however, they have been released as patch notes, which we are allowed to show. So, these are the Overland sets, and by the way, this is for wearing all the pieces, all five pieces to the set, and it's the values which I'm showing are going to be CP 160 and gold. So, for the Overland sets, we have the War Maiden. It's a light armor. It increases your max health, max magicka, spell damage, and adds 400 spell damage to your magicka abilities. Sorry, magic damage abilities, which I think is going to outdo all these sets which give you, say, extra frost damage, extra flame damage, because they're all magicka abilities anyway. And, well, most of them are going to be magicka damage abilities. So this is going to pretty much be, you wear this one set and then you can use it for your flame staff, ice staff, and your thunder staff. So this is going to like knock all the other ones out of the park. And if you really wanted to be flash, you could just double stack them. But as we know in this next update, you're not going to be wearing two sets of DPS gear because you're going to need at least one set of gear for sustain. So I can understand why this set's been released, and it's going to take over all the other sets that give you elemental damage. But next up we have Defiler, which is a medium armor. It gives you weapon damage, weapon critical, and there is no fourth piece for this. Oh wait, yes there is. It's just next to it. Okay, so it's weapon damage, weapon critical, another weapon critical, and then for the fifth piece, when you deal critical damage, you have an 8% chance to summon a hunger that spews poison to all enemies in front of it, dealing 1k poison damage and stunning any enemy hit for 5 seconds. This can occur every 5 seconds. Wow, that's a lot. So already I can see this being the new Viper set. If not, people like gankers will probably stack it with the Viper set. So yeah, run 5 piece of that and 5 piece of this. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have no resource management, but you're gonna hit like a truck. And even if you have Velodreth on top of that, this is going to be very, very overpowered. So if you know they've nerfed the Viper set, but they've given us another Viper set which can stack with that. So you know, do with that what you will. But however, there is only an 8% chance of it happening, and that's when you deal critical damage. But you've got 2 lots of weapon critical here, and if you have a high crit chance, say you're a Kaji Stamina Nightblade, that's not going to be too bad, especially if you're going to use some damage over time effects, if you're using poisons or something. Next up, we have Warrior Poet, which is a heavy armor. It gives you max health, spell resistance, physical resistance, and then gain minor toughness at all times, increasing your max health by 10%. Now, when the Morrowind patch drops, I may have to put this for my Immortal Vampire tank build, because that build scales on max health. It may work, it may not. I'm going to test it, so hopefully it will still be good. Next up, we have the crafted sets. So, there's 3 crafted sets for this next update. One of them is Assassin's Guile, and now with a crafted set you can craft them medium, light or heavy, just in case you don't know this. But I'm sure you do, but it's there anyway. So, first up you get the spell critical, then weapon critical, then spell damage, weapon damage, and increase the duration of your alchemical poisons by 4 seconds. I don't understand why we've got weapon critical and spell critical. It kind of contradicts the set, but I don't see many people using this, so I'm just going to move on. Unless, you know, if you've got any ideas of what to use this with, then, you know, let me know in the comment section below. But I'm kind of a bit, you know, I don't really know what to do with that set, to be honest. Next up, we have Daedric Trickery, which I first read it as Daedric Turkey. But I'm pretty sure it's called the Daedric Turkey. Alright, Daedric Trickery. So first you get max health, max stamina, max magicka. While in combat, you gain one of 5 random major buffs for 10 seconds. And it can happen every 20 seconds. Alright, eligible buffs are Expedition, Protection, Mending, Heroism, and Vitality. So this set is going to be very good for sustain. Like, I can see this being really, really good, because obviously you get your health, magic, and stamina. But you get 1 of 5 random major buffs. I mean, it's only for half the time, but it procs every 20 seconds. So yeah, you only get it half the time, but I mean, it could be good, it could be bad. It's basically an RNG set, isn't it? So depending on your situation, it could benefit you, but then, you know, you have a 1 in 5 chance of it benefiting you properly, you know. So I don't see it being eligible for the 5-piece, maybe, I don't know, but for the 4-piece, you know, it could work. Shackle Breaker. Right, so first up we have weapon damage, then spell damage, and then stamina and magical recovery for the 4th set. And then for the 5th set we have adds 2k stamina and 2k max magica. So this is kind of a mishmash set. It's gonna be basically giving you both resource and both weapon and spell damage. Again, it's kind of a mishmash set, so I'm not really convinced that this one's going to be any good. However, I could be wrong, but as far as it goes at the moment, I can't really see a set that gives you weapon damage and spell damage in 2 separate slot pieces, so I'll move on. Okay, so now we have the Battleground sets. First up, we have the Wizard's Riptos, which is a light armor. It gives you max health, spell damage, magical recovery. When you take critical damage, you apply minor maim to the enemy for 15 seconds, reducing their damage done by 15%. Okay, so this is a pretty good sort of... I'd say, yeah, this is exactly what I'd say it's good for Battlegrounds, because you're going to be taking damage, so you're going to need a little bit of tankiness. And people are going to have high crit, so when they hit you, then yeah, it's going to like pretty much destroy their damage. And the fact that it's actually a Magicka set and not a Magicka and Stamina set, which a lot of sets previously have been like that, which kind of suck. Okay, so next up, we have the Night Slayer, which is also a light set. So it gives you max Magicka, spell damage, max health. Your fully charged heavy attacks against players deal an additional 10% of their max health as oblivion damage. Wow. So a heavy attack can take away 10% of their max health. Now think about that. If you were to rock this set with the Elegant set and be a DK using the Molten Armaments, which will also give you extra heavy attack damage, this is going to be ridiculously powerful. You could pretty much, I would say, if you had the right setup, you could pretty much one-shot, if not two-shot enemies. I mean, my friend Rio he showed me his build before, which was basically an Elegant set and as a DK, and he used the Stone Fist in between a heavy attack. So he shot the heavy attack and then he used the Stone Fist, and it one-shot players. Now if he was to use this with the Elegant set, it would be way overpowered, but hey, it's going to be very good for resource management, being a heavy attack set, because, you know, obviously in the next update there's not going to be much resource management, so having heavy attack builds is going to be very, very good for sustain, especially in Battlegrounds, even just PvP in general. So next up we have Coward's Gear in medium, and now I love the name for this, but it kind of suits it. Okay, so first up you have max health, stamina recovery, and stamina recovery, and wait for it. While sprinting, you gain major expedition and major protection, increasing your movement speed and reducing your damage taken by 30%, which basically means all that stamina recovery and that health is going to keep you alive and give you some sustain while you get the fuck out of the battle. So yeah, you know, the Coward's Gear, it really does make sense. However, this is the only medium set, specifically for medium set, for the Battleground sets. So honestly, I think this is kind of just a joke gear. It's crap. No one's going to be using this. Who's going to be running away in Battlegrounds? Unless you have Capture the Flag, then I can really understand this working. In fact, I take that back. Capture the Flag, this will be some decent gear, because yeah, you'll have the flag, you'll have a little bit of health. Maybe if you're running a tank set, yeah, that'd be good. Actually, that's a good idea. Run one tank setup for gear, and then run this, and then maybe, I don't know, Bloodspawn or something, you know, something for a little bit of sustain for and a bit of resistance, and then yeah, capture the flag, and then sprint like a motherfucker. Yeah, this could definitely work. Okay, next up we have Vanguard's Challenge. It's a heavy armor set. It gives you max health, healing taken, And then for the fifth piece, when you taunt an enemy player, they deal 50% less damage to all other players, but 100% more damage to you for 15 seconds. Now, if you're going to be a tank build, which this set is kind of for, it's going to make sense because you're basically there to take the damage. And, you know, reducing the damage dealt to every other player by 50% is huge, especially in PvP when damage is nerfed anyway. So then they're only going to be doing a quarter of the damage which they would usually be doing in PvE, which is amazing. So yeah, I could see this one working, especially in Capture the Flag. If the tank was to use this to... I mean, I haven't played Capture the Flag yet or anything like that, and I can't talk about it, so what I'm saying now isn't by experience. You know, I haven't actually played it. I haven't done any of that yet. So this is just by going through what Capture the Flag usually is going to be. You know, in every game, Capture the Flag is always the same thing. You know, you capture the flag, bring it to your base. So that's the rules I'm going by. So if you were to have a tank using this setup to attack, to taunt the enemies, so 50% less damage to all other allies, and one of your allies is wearing their coward's gear who has the flag. So not only is he going to have major expedition, major protection, which reduces his damage taken by 30%, but he's also going to have an extra 50% less damage on top of that. So he's only be taking 20% damage whilst he's running away with the flag, which is massive, and I can see that being the game changer for Capture the Flag, which is what I'm going to be having in my team setup. So next up we have Impregnable Armor, which comes in all sets. So you do get your second medium set because, you know, it's been 2 light, 1 medium, 2 heavy. So yeah, now we can sort of put it in a medium. Not that we'll need to or anything, but next, right, okay, so this gives us max health, max stamina, max magicka, and 2,500 critical resistance. Now that's amazing because you won't need to be wearing impen armor, which a lot of people have impen, and I'm pretty sure there's a cap at around 3,000 crit resistance, I think, or is it 3,200? I can't remember. It might be changing anyway due to the patch notes. You know, when Morrowind drops, it might be changing anyway. So I'm not going to be too hung up on what the proper hard caps for this is. So with that in mind, you could just wear this set and then have an all divines or an all infused set, which would be incredible. Or you could even go reinforced to give you more armor, because if you have reinforced and this set, you're going to be extremely tanky. So next up, for the trial sets, we have Inventor's Guard. It's a light armor. First up, it gives you magic recovery. For the third piece, gain minor aegis at all times, reducing your damage taken from dungeon and trial monsters by 5%, which is good because we have this in quite a lot of trial sets and it's very decent. So next up we have Healing Done, and then for the fifth piece, when you use an ultimate ability, you and the closest 2 allies within 28 meters of you gain major aegis for 10 seconds, reducing your damage taken from the dungeon and trial monsters by 15%, which we get minor aegis anyway for ourselves. So I don't know why it says that we gain it as well. You and your closest 2 allies. Doesn't make sense because you've already got it. Oh, sorry, no, that's major aegis. Okay, I'll shut up then. So that's major aegis. So together, yourself, you'll be getting 20% reduced damage. And then all your friends, sorry, 2 of your friends will be getting 15% reduced damage. So this is going to be an amazing healer set. I'm definitely going to be running this. Next up, we have Master Architect, which is a light armor. For the first piece, you get max magicka, then gain minus slayer at all times, increasing your damage done to dungeon and trial monsters by 5%. And then we have spell damage. And then for the fifth piece, when you use an ultimate ability, you and your 2 closest allies within 28 meters gain major slayer for 10 seconds, increasing your damage done to dungeon and trial monsters by 15%. Now we really needed some sets like this, so it's basically if you're a healer, you could run both of these sets. You would have a lot of sustain. Okay, your sustain wouldn't be amazing, and I can't talk about the Warden. But what we do know about the Warden is that they're going to be having a lot of synergy-based skills, and they're basically going to be a support class. Bear that in mind. I can't talk too much about Wardens. I can't say any more about Wardens which isn't already on the patch notes. So, for other sets like Templars, whatever, if you're going to be a healer, not that Templars are going to exist in the next patch anyway, which I'm kind of very sad about. And I say they're not going to exist. Of course, they're still going to exist, but they're not going to be as good as, say, other classes. But if you're running a healer, you could run both of these sets and just use one ultimate ability. You could even use a Warhorn, right? So say if you would use a Warhorn, then you'd get the extra 8% damage and a 10% boost in max health, magicka, and stamina, which will also boost up your damage. You'll be 15. Your allies will have 15% more damage, and have 15% more damage reduction done to them. So for trials, these two sets are going to be monstrous. I'm going to farm the shit out of these. It's going to be ridiculous, and I can't wait for them to come out. Okay, next up for medium armor we have War Machine. Now it gives you max stamina. You gain minus Slayer at all times, increasing your damage done to trial and dungeon monsters by 5%. You get weapon damage. When you use an ultimate ability, okay, this is kind of where this is going. When you use an ultimate ability, the two closest allies and you within 28 meters of you gain Major Slayer for 10 seconds, increasing your damage done to dungeon and trial monsters by 15%. Okay, so that's good. We've got a medium armor version of this, which kind of makes sense because, you know, you don't want to give magicka all the love because, let's face it, stamina kind of just got like smashed to shit in this next patch anyway. So it's good to give stamina a little bit. And I can only guess what the heavy armor is going to be. So for the heavy armor, max health, gain Major Aegis at all times, reducing your damage taken from dungeon and trial monsters by 5%. And then you gain extra healing taken. And yep, you guessed it, for the fifth piece. When you use an ultimate ability, you and your closest two allies within 28 meters of you gain Major Aegis for 10 seconds, reducing your damage taken from dungeon and trial monsters by 15%. Now, for tanking, that's going to be huge. Especially if you're going to be a DK tank, right? So you're going to be taking damage, and say you use a cheap ultimate like Magma Shell, which is a cheap ultimate. It gives it gives 4 people a damage shield, I think, or was it everyone? I'm pretty sure it's 4 people. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. It gives them all damage. It gives 4 people damage shield, and also makes them take 15% less damage. And now for you tanking, you're going to be like immortal for the next 6 seconds anyway. This is going to be incredible. Or you could even, if you don't need your ultimate, if you're a self-sustaining tank who doesn't need any ultimates or anything like that, you could have Dawnbreaker of Smiting, which I think only costs 75 magicka. I think. Or hold on. Okay, bear with me, guys. So, if you were to be a Sork tank, right? And yes, Sork tanks are a thing, and they're actually very, very powerful. My friend Stoic, he ran a Sork tank, and he was like the best tank I've ever seen. Okay, so it says when you use an ultimate ability, right? So if you're a Sork and you were to, say, perhaps use your Power Overload. Now that only costs 75 ultimate to activate, and you can activate it, unactivate it, and you can stack it up to 500. So if you were to stack up to 500, right, activate your ultimate, and it says when you use an ultimate ability. So if you were to use that, and then use a light attack, so you would shoot one little ball of electricity, which will only cost about, like, I think it's 20 or 30 ultimate to use, and then toggle your ultimate so you go back to your normal sword and board, would that proc this set? Because thinking about it, all you had to do was use one ultimate, which cost 30 ultimate, to proc this set for you and your allies. Now, how amazing is that? Does it even say there's a cooldown? Nope, it doesn't say there's a cooldown. There is no cooldown, guys. So, here's what I'm thinking. Magicka Sork, right? And I don't mean using your sword and board. For a Magicka Sork, you can just use Hardened Ward. And if you were to constantly be in your overload state, or toggle between them, you could block using your shield. Yeah, use your shield and block. Right, so even if you're in your overload stage, if you would have sword and board in your overload stage and block, it still counts as having a sword and board. And then every 10 seconds, just use one heavy attack or light attack. You're going to be proccing this a shit ton, and everyone, well, yeah, well, sorry, 2 people with you are going to gain that. So that's amazing, especially in dungeons. If you're going to do this in dungeons, this is going to be an incredible set, and I really, really want to use this now. I'm actually getting really, really, really happy, and I really want to use this. That is all for the armor sets, guys, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget, guys, to smash that like button. If you really like this content, smash that subscribe button. And if you really, really like this content, hit the subscribe button twice to be a double sub. And I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you lot next time. Peace! SpaceKong.